So what we're here to show you is that we are the same people. Us blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are all related through the promises of God.
Right.
Through our forefather Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Read that for me.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So because we are all of the same people, we were all given rules, we were all given laws, we were all given order to keep. But we broke those.
Right.
We as a people broke those laws, statutes, and commandments as a people. So as a collective, God sent us all into slavery. It might have all been at different times. You had 1492, you had 1619. It was in different time periods, but it was the same curses that was going to happen.
Right now, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day.
So, contrary to popular belief, the Christianity church, the apologetics, your black pastors, your white pastors are not going to teach you to keep all of God's laws.
Right.
They're going to teach you to break the Sabbath day.
Right.
God said to keep the Sabbath day holy, they made it on Sunday. He said keep the seventh day holy, they made the first day, according to them, holy. And they still, even if, for example, they were still saying that we preach out the Bible, we do believe that Sunday's a Sabbath, they're still breaking the laws that are not to be broken on the Sabbath day.
Bring it out! Bring it out! That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So because we broke the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High God, He put curses on us.
Right.
He put curses on us that would last forever and ever until we started to get our act right. That's why you see the prophets on every corner across the United States, across the world, teaching our people how to repent and get right. Give me verse 37. So what we're showing you, how you doing today, sis?
I'm good.
Good.
She said that she's mixed with 4 different things, and I was trying to let her know what her real nationality was.
Okay. How you doing, man? My name is Enos. What's your name?
Bobby.
Bobby? Okay. So what we're showing to our people, give me Numbers chapter 1. You know what I'm saying? So you say that you have 4 different nationalities, correct? So what we're going to show you that according to the Bible, your nationality is all about what your father is. So whatever your father is, that's according to the Bible, what your nationality is. Do you believe in the Bible?
I do.
You do believe in the Bible. Okay. So watch this. I'm going to show you something. Read that.
The book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the 2nd month.
So right now we're talking about the Israelites, right? Okay, and this is what this Bible is about. It's about the Israelites. Read.
And they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers.
So we have to go off of what our fathers, what your father is. So what is your father's nationality? Do you know?
Hispanic.
He's Hispanic. So according to the Bible, he would be from the tribe of Issachar. Like when you say Hispanic, you mean Mexican?
Yes.
Okay, so when you look at this chart, right? Over here, they gave us these false names. So
Right.
when you hear Hispanic, when you hear Mexican, when you hear Latino, Latina, Latinx, those are all names that our slave masters gave us when they came over here and conquered us in the New World in 1492. So according to the Bible, your nationality would be from Issachar. It would not be Mexican or Aztec. It would actually be Issachar.
That's right.
Okay, so now so do you know any history about the so-called Mexicans or Aztecs? You know about the type of slavery things that they went through?
Some.
Okay, so give me, let's read
Not much.
Deuteronomy 20 and 15 again. All right, so I'm gonna show you that we're gonna show you according to the Bible that we're proving to you that you are actually from the tribe of Issachar and not Mexican or Native American, these names that they give us. Read that.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So what happened was, man, we were given the laws of God, and we were told you have to keep these laws. If you don't keep these laws, these curses are going to come upon you, right? Read.
To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day. All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Verse 37. So I'm going to show you a curse that came upon us so you can relate and be like, man, I am an Israelite. I am from the tribe of Issachar, not Mexican, not black, not African American. Read that.
Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
So we want to look at that word, byword. What's a byword?
A byword?
Yes, ma'am.
indirect.
Okay, exactly. So we're showing you that a curse, according to the Bible, that we would get is the so-called conquistadors, Christopher Columbus, Amerigo Vespucci, all of them would come over on this side of the world and say, oh, you're Mexicans. Oh, you're Hispanics. We're not going to call you Issachar, because originally, the first explorers that came over to South America, the so-called natives that lived in that land were speaking the Hebrew language to them. Because they're the original Israelites that came from Israel and moved over to South America and North America. So what happened was, when we got conquered as a people, they said, no, we're not going to let you call yourself your original name. We're going to give you these new names. Because you know why? The Bible said that would happen. Read that part. Read that again for me.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 37.
Because remember, if we didn't keep God's laws, we would get cursed. Read.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
So God led the other nations to come and take us into captivity and call us by different names. That's why you think all 4 different nationalities, and no, you're one nationality.
Bring it out,
you're from the tribe of Issachar, and you're an Israelite. That's your nationality. You understand what I'm saying? So when you read, you're familiar with the Bible, right?
Of course.
So all these brothers are the sons of Jacob, or who we call Israel.
Right. That's right.
God gave him a promise, which came from his father and his father's father, that, hey, we would inherit the land of Israel. But there was a catch. You had to keep the laws of God. Give me verse 68. If we didn't keep the laws of God, not only would our names get changed, but this is what else would happen too.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So, because what happens is people might think, oh, well, God's gonna send us back to Egypt. No, in Egypt, the Bible has definitions. Like the Bible has different definitions, and they tell us what Egypt means. Right? Read.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5 and verse 6. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
What does bondage mean?
Bondage,
In prison, slavery, correct? Now go back to Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. So what we're showing you is that God said he would send us back into slavery again, right? Read from the top of that verse.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
So he would bring us into slavery again. Read.
With ships.
So when you look at the history of the so-called Mexicans, the so-called Aztecs, or whatever you want to call them, when you look into our history, we were taken from South America back into Europe, into Spain, into Italy. We lived in these nations as slaves. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
So, and then when you look at it, Christopher Columbus, you look at the history, Christopher Columbus himself wiped out the whole, I believe it's the Taino Indians. He wiped them down from 4 million to under 400,000 people. Because the Bible said that we would go into slavery in all these different nations because we broke God's laws. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
And sis, can I ask you a question? Have you ever been to Israel? The land of Israel? Do you have any family that's gone and lived over there and populated over there?
just my church family.
Right, so your church family, right? But us as a people, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you don't see us going to Israel. You don't see us wanting to go and visit Israel.
I do want to visit.
You do want to visit because that's your spirit in you. You know what you really are. You know that your spirit knows that you're really an Israelite from the tribe of Issachar. Right? Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondman and bondwoman.
Because when you look at the history of Christopher Columbus, he was taking our women, children, our men, and he was putting us into slavery and selling us back into slavery in Spain, in Europe, in those different areas where the so-called white man lived. Okay? So what we're showing you is that we're giving you biblical proof that you're actually an Israelite. You're not African American, you're not Mexican, you're not Native American.
Right.
You got to remember, these were bywords that were given to us by our slave masters.
That's right.
By those that came and conquered us. The conquistadors, they killed, they pillaged, they raped, they murdered our people that lived in South and Central America. Because the Bible said that that was this type of stuff that was going to happen.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
When you look at the native blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're spread throughout, we're scattered throughout the whole earth. Why? Because God told us that, hey, if you didn't keep my laws, like for example, what's a law that God gave the Israelites in the Bible? You know?
Yeah.
What's one?
Do not murder.
Okay, do not murder, correct? When you look at,
Still, it's 10 commandments.
right, and I'll show you there's actually more, but I'm just going to keep it real simple right now. So when you look at our people in this side of the world, in North America, how many murders go on in Chicago, in Florida, in New York? How many murders are going on in like even when you look at the so-called Mexicans, or what we call Issachar? When you look at the those that live in California, there's a high murder rate, just like there is just like the so-called blacks or so-called African Americans commit in their hoods. Why? Because God said that if we didn't keep His laws, which would keep us from murdering, He was going to keep us in slavery. That's why when you look at our hoods, we can't get caught. We can't go anywhere because you got a young brother down the block that's ready to shoot you for your money. That's ready to rob you for what your hard-earned cash that you earned. And the Bible prophesied about that our young men would be monsters. Read that. Keep reading again. Read verse 64.
Bring it out.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So let me ask you a question. It's talking about serving other gods, meaning serving other religions and pagan beliefs, right?
Right.
What is a religion that worships a wooden idol?
I don't know.
Christianity. The cross. A wooden idol. The cross. They worship those in Catholicism and Christianity, because it's all the same.
Right.
They worship that cross. They pray to that cross.
I don't know if they do that.
Now listen, now check this.
But I believe
Right, now check this. So, listen to this, man. Right, but see, this is the thing. When you actually look at it, it might not seem consciously that you're worshiping as an idol, but subconsciously it's been put in our mind by our oppressors that look at that cross. Look at white Jesus on that cross. That's the cross that saved it. When you look at the religion, right, and you're right, but listen, so what happens is that religion, Christianity, is closely tied to that cross. That's what it's saying right there. When it said we would worship gods of wood and stone, that's going into Christianity and the Muslim religion.
Right.
And Buddha, all those religions that have pagan idols and wooden idols, that's going into Christianity and the Muslim religion. It might not seem like it at first because nobody's ever taught you that. But I'm here to show you that yes, contrary to popular belief, that wooden cross that everybody holds in high esteem, that's an idol. And we have to stop. That's why you see brothers walking around with it on their chest. And you see people with it in their cars. Like I know somebody, they would put a tattoo it. Brothers would tattoo the cross on their chest, on their arms. You see what I'm saying? I knew somebody that would have, they said that if I have crosses in my car, nobody's gonna steal from my car. You know why? Because that cross didn't even have white Jesus on it. It was just a cross. And they totally believe, because it's an idol, man, they totally believe that if I have these crosses in my car, nobody's going to break in and steal things out of my car.
Bring it out.
Because we set it up as an idol. The Muslim religion, you see our brothers that are in the Nation of Islam, they believe in a false God. They believe in the Muslim religion, and the Bible tells you, hey, you going over there worship that Kaaba stone, that's an idol that you're setting up. No, you're fine, sis. So that's an idol, sis, that our people have been set up to believe is something to be worshipped. Give me, did you get that verse about? Yeah, read that. Because I'm gonna go back to the so-called Mexicans and some of the history that the Mexicans, so-called Mexicans, went through. Right, read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them.
So when you look at the history of the Aztecs and the Mayans and all those that lived in South America and Central America, they came against the conquistadors. They came against Columbus. They came against Hernan Cortez.
Right.
They came against Pizarro and America Vespucci. They came against those things like, no, this is our land. You're not going to take our women. You're not going to take our children. And what happened? The Bible says that they will be smitten and scattered 7 different ways. meaning they would have to retreat back home, or their land would be taken over, and they would now be slaves to the so-called white man. Right. Even when there was that movie 1492 about Christopher Columbus. It's an older movie about, I think it came out in the 90s. But when you look at that movie, he was literally having our people, he had them in the mines, he had them searching out for gold. And if they didn't come back with a certain amount of gold, a certain weight of gold, he would cut their arms off.
No.
Same thing that happened to our people in the Congo.
Right.
Same thing. During that time period, I believe it was the 1800s in the Congo, when they had to get rubber from the rubber trees. They were chopping off their arms and their legs to prove a point, like, oh, if you don't pick this rubber, if you don't pick this gold, if you don't pick this cotton, well, I'm gonna show you what we like to do to people like that. That's how they put fear in us. So you got to think, if you're a so-called Mexican, right, and another nation comes in. They got on metal armor. They got guns, and they're putting you in slavery. And then when you don't do what they want you to do, they cut your arm off. They'll take your women. They take your women, and they have their way with them. They take your children and they sell them into slavery, and you no longer see them.
We used to scream Black Power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road. Purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.